Hi guys, so we're on page 4. This is lesson E1 about derivative sequence must know graph facts. And this is something that I call Susan's table. It's named after a woman who showed it to me, and I've added to it over the years, but it's been very useful. So so this is all about the derivative sequence or a derivative sequence and how the graphs of each part of the derivative sequence relate to each other. And it's not intuitive. They don't necessarily look, it's hard to just visually see the patterns, but you really, if you think about the derivatives and what they mean, it helps a lot. So you want to be visualizing all the time. Okay, so a critical number on the graph of f is going to be where the graph of f prime is 0 or undefined. Okay, so zeros on f prime would mean roots, and undefined, if f prime were undefined, its graph would be like definitely not continuous there. You'd have an open circle or an asymptote. Okay, a max on the graph of f, that's going to correspond to a positive negative sign change on f prime, so going from above to below the x-axis, crossing the x-axis. Min, like this, increasing, so f, the graph of f over a certain interval would be going up if the f prime graph were positive or above the x-axis on that same interval. Decreasing negative, extrema. Guys, extrema could be maxes or mins. So max slash min. And when we say extrema here, we mean local extrema. And I'll draw a picture in a moment. An extrema could mean a max or a min. And if we see this on the graph of f, it would correspond to a sign change or a crossing of the x-axis on the graph of f prime. Okay, so guys, this stuff about concavity, if you have like a highlighter handy, we're not going to really go beyond this point today. But before we jump into a problem, and all we're going to do today, guys, is we're going to do this first example, and then we're going to stop. We're given the graph of f below, and instead of this, we're going to sketch the graph of f prime. Okay, so we are given the graph of f, and we're going to sketch the graph of f prime. Okay, but before we get there, I just want to talk about extrema. Okay, so local extrema. So let's go like this. I'm just going to go like a little bit curvy, and then let's do like a sharp corner there. All right, so the extremas are like the highest and lowest points, but not overall, just within like a certain locality or like relative to the other points around it. Okay, so guys, these are what are called local extrema. So this, and this. Okay, so all of these points are they are the highest points in an open interval around them. So these are all local maximums. They're not absolute maximums. Absolute would be overall, and it would be on a closed interval. And then these ones, like this, would be a local min. Okay, because relative to the points around it, it is the lowest. Okay, so anyway, that's what that looks like. And so let's add in here, guys, another column at the beginning, and this will be x's. Okay. So I just want to talk about this. And I just want to say what we're looking for. Like if we're looking for any of these features, like algebraically and using calculus methods, what would we be looking for? If you need a critical number, you're looking for an instant. or just a value. I'll say just a value. An X value, an instant. Instant. If you're looking for a max, again, that is a value that is an instant that you're looking for. Min, you're looking for an X value. Now, if you're looking for where F is increasing or decreasing, those would be intervals. Okay, so just be careful. And then decreasing interval. And then extrema, maxes or mins, that would be a value, or like at an instant. All right, so I want to be clear about that. So let's do this problem here. So given the graph of F below, sketch the graph of F prime. So guys, we are going to fill out like a little table like this for the graph of F that we're looking at. Okay, so we're going to have X, and we won't have F double prime. Let's just do X, F, and F prime. And as we fill this out, we'll start drawing the graph of F prime. All right, so the first thing that you always want to be looking for, guys, is critical numbers. Okay, so critical numbers on the graph of F. Those are going to happen when F prime is 0 or undefined. Okay, so let's find those values. So I don't see any sharp corners, so there's nowhere that the tangent line couldn't be drawn. There's nowhere where the tangent line would be vertical either. That would be undefined for F prime. But I do see that I would have horizontal tangents at those values. So my critical numbers here are -3, 1, and 5. Okay, so those are values. Okay, now let's look at like maxes versus mins. Max, min. Okay, so maxes I only see 1, and it's at the X value 1, and then I've got mins at -3 and 5. Okay, and what's happening on F prime, on my graph of F prime, it'd be going from positive to negative and negative to positive. Okay, so these are going to be all the features on the graph that we're drawing. Okay, so let me get started. We're still going to have to think about increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing. And then we'll have extrema as well. Okay. So guys, the critical numbers are going to be like, just have some walls there, or at least imagine them. Okay, so let me put just an x-axis below. Right, so this is going to be my graph of F prime. So let me put my critical numbers here. So we're going to have walls there as well. You could just keep going like that, I guess. Okay. And all right, so now let's keep going. So what is happening? So I'm going to look at the different intervals, the intervals between the walls. So what intervals is this increasing on? This graph. We're increasing on this interval, okay, from -3 to 1, going up on F, and then again from 5 to infinity. Yeah, okay. So increasing -3 to 1 union 5 to infinity. Okay, and so if my graph of f is increasing there, what's that going to tell me about my graph of f prime? It's going to be positive, meaning above the x-axis. Okay, now decreasing intervals from negative infinity to negative 3, and then from 1 to 5. Okay, and what do I know about my f prime graph? It's going to be negative or below the x-axis. Okay, so for extrema, okay, extrema, those are maxes and mins. Okay, so I have extrema at negative 3, 1, and 5. Okay, same as the critical numbers, although sometimes critical numbers are not extrema. Okay, sometimes they won't work. So these are the extrema. So what am I going to be observing? I'm going to be observing a sign change. And a sign change on f prime, on the f prime graph, what that will look like is you're crossing the x-axis. It doesn't really matter. For extrema, it doesn't matter how you cross it, going from above to below or vice versa. It just matters that you cross it at all. That'll indicate extrema. Okay, all right, so now over here. So what do I know is happening on my graph of f prime at these values? A sign change. So we're crossing the x-axis at these values. So let me look at how. At negative 3 and 5, we are crossing the x-axis on f prime in this way, going from negative to positive, so from below to above at negative 3 and 5. So let me do just like a little, I'll go like that. Okay, going from below to above. And then at 1, we're having a max, so I need to show that feature on my graph from above to below. So like that. All right. And guys, this needs to be continuous. So now you just kind of connect things. And then we'll just verify that everything looks good. Yeah. Okay, actually, let me look at this. All right, so increasing. So from negative 3 to 1. So on this interval, negative 3 to 1. Oh, sorry, that's in the middle. All right, let me go interval by interval. All right, so here f is decreasing, so f prime is negative. So on this interval, f prime is below the x-axis. So I could just keep going. And that makes it work. It doesn't have to, it's not going to be perfect, but just whatever would make it work. Like the simplest thing. All right, next, from negative 3 to 1, f is increasing. So I just need for f prime to be positive, and I need to connect that. Okay, and then here, from 1 to 5, f is decreasing, meaning f prime is negative. So that works if I just connect that. And then f prime, or f is increasing, so f prime is positive. Okay, guys, there it is. So we're going to do this in class together. And maybe we'll do like a desk, some kind of like activity on our desks where I give you either f or f prime and you have to sketch the other. Now, if you don't write, I really encourage you to write all of this out when you're doing these, at least to begin with. But if you're not writing this, this is at least what needs to be going on in your head, all of these connections.